Say it again, Brandon.
So we all go quiet.
23? That sounded like Nigel, didn't it?
No.
Not really.
No.
I think I have a good English accent sometimes. Although it may sound sort of Australian at the same time.
You need to be about
Except for that one.
you need to be about 8 beers in.
All right, here we go.
Six, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4.
Dun, 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 dun.
Welcome back to Come and Brew It Radio, coming to you from Texas Brewing Inc. in Haltom City, Texas. You can find us on the web at txbrewing.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook and share with all your friends.
In this episode, we're going back to another segment of our Making Plans for Nigel discussion, where we cover more of the questions we had left over from our first round. We had a good response to what we discussed and could have easily filled up a few more hours on most of the questions. So here we are again. So if you're listening live, be sure to chime in and ask about any details.
But before we get started, please be sure to check out our Patreon account to help support the show. Every little bit counts, and if you visit patreon.com/Come and Brew It Radio, we have a variety of options for you to help keep the show going, get involved, and improve it. And tonight, we'd also like to thank Rob Vanderwire for his support. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Cheers.
I'm Greg.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Nigel.
I'm Stubby.
Thanks for listening.
Woohoo.
All right, off to a roaring start. No
Yeah.
technical difficulties.
Not yet.
They're
Not yet.
coming.
We can solve that.
We'll save those for the second half tonight.
I don't know. You know, if you look at it, Greg over there, he kind of looked kung fu-ish.
What?
Kung fu-ish.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it off again between the two?
It's like it was a kung fu movie. It
Wow.
was a little bit of choppy.
Okay, all right.
You know, like some Chinese overdubs or whatever. Or Japanese, whatever.
have my power.
So, you think your kung fu is pretty good, huh? I want to fight your brother.
Let's go
Him
practice.
and me.
What is it? Let's
You'd
go
be good in
practice
anime,
karate in
Greg.
the garage.
In the garage, that's right. Kick some
You
pumpkin.
just need some bigger eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
have
recent,
those at home.
welcome guys to the show tonight. I think we've got a really good episode. Whether you're an advanced or a beginning home brewer, I think some of these topics are always good to cover. Also, you guys out there in Facebook land, make sure to ask any questions or chime in if you have any questions. We would be glad to answer them for you. But
We'll
anyway,
even respond to statements.
yeah,
They don't even have to be in question
for
form.
sure.
Right.
For
We
sure.
can make a
isn't
statement back
Jeopardy.
to you.
As long as they're polite.
Or not.
Yeah, we won't respond to those unless they're directed at Nigel. But anyway,
Right.
recent happenings. I know, Brandon, you didn't have a chance to respond on the closing of Old Saratoga and Mendocino or the Smutty Nose bankruptcy. You have any comments you'd like to?
Well, did y'all talk about on the old Saratoga about the
bit.
screenshot that I sent you there?
Yeah, a little
So,
bit.
Yep.
Our
Yeah.
friend that worked there.
Yeah, our friend that he brewed here at Deep Ellum and then moved out to New York and was brewing there for a while. And I
did
didn't.
mention Hellhole.
I didn't realize that he hated it there so much. I thought he just kind of got out of brewing just as he was tired of just the bone grinding work.
Right.
And when he heard that, when I messaged him and said, "Hey, isn't this where you used to brew?" He was like, "Yeah, good. I'm glad they're going out of business. What a hellhole." But my thought was, they only gave the breweries that were contract brewing for 72 hours notice to get all their beer out of the fermenters, get all their packaging out of there and everything. I mean, that could have really gone bad for some. It may have gone bad for some people.
yeah, I don't know. That was a bad situation. We had a similar situation here, however. I don't know if we need to go into those details, but
Yeah, well, we've been saying it for a while that we can expect to see this happen more and more. The one that I thought was really interesting was Smutty Nose. For one thing, the way they released the news, I've never seen an article try and polish a turd so much. They really made it sound as though they were just looking for somebody to infuse some cash into the brewery to keep it running. But when the bank forces you to auction off your business, that's called bankruptcy. There's no
Dance around it.
They really tried to make it sound more benign than it was. I mean, that's a hard
what
crash.
was shocking to me though really was, we're planning for 20 years worth of growth. how the hell does any business plan for 20 years worth
Well,
of
I
growth?
think what they had said was it was based on 20 years. Like they had been around for 20 years and seen double-digit growth for 20 years. But that was what I really took from it. You know, you and I have talked about this several times in the past, how the average person really doesn't have any appreciation for the amount of risk that's involved with running your own business. Here we're talking about a successful brewery that was well run and they were doing everything right and still went out of business just because they took a risk on some debt that they ended up not being able to
and
to
it's
cover.
not like that they were brewing bad beers.
No,
or anything.
great beers, yeah.
quite the exception. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just, you know, we've got some big regionals in Texas here that are struggling now, and it's not because they brew bad beers. It's just there's so much out there. I think some people kind of forget about, you know, some of the beers that, oh, yeah, that is a good beer, you know, but we're trying this or we're trying that or we're doing something new or we're trying the flavor of the week, you know, and kind of forget about some of the,
absolutely.
the local regionals that are really good. They're a lot bigger, so they're basically built on having a bigger distribution. And I think some of these guys are kind of feeling the effects of some smaller craft breweries, more local craft, tap rooms.
Yeah,
and
one of
stuff
the
like
things
that.
I read is they're kind of falling victim to the marketing that got them where they were in the first place, which
agree.
was buy local and
local,
support your
yeah,
local guys.
right.
And now there's all these other local guys, and they're like, hey, wait a minute, remember we're the local we were talking
Yeah,
about.
remember
you know?
we're the first, and I think some of these other guys are kind of feeling the effects too, because they're like, oh, well, you know, we're going to give the small guy a little shot. You know, we're gonna support this little guy. You know, you guys are big. You can handle us not having your beer on tap.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of that's happening. So,
Well, you know, you got to wonder if this type of thing, when you hear about these breweries that sell out, this has got to be part of that decision-making process. Is how long do we want to be in this market that is, you know, every 5 years is going to be a completely different industry than it was the 5 years before because of explosive growth and
sure.
you know, just a change in consumer mindset and everything. And you got to think at some point these guys think, I've been pretty lucky to get to the point I'm at right now. And, you know, it's kind of like, when do you come out of college for the draft?
Well, and I wonder,
do I do
too,
it now or do I wait till I'm injured? You know?
I wonder too. You know, they have the AB InBev. You know, have recently released that they were no longer going to do any buyouts for the immediate future and blah blah blah.
Sure.
And it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder though if they saw significant like decreases in their sales of these beers after they get bought out. And it makes me wonder if they're like, well, we really have a hard time purchasing these breweries because they're not as profitable as what they were beforehand.
Right, yeah.
Right.
And then maybe they take a dip in the sales. So I don't know if that may be some of the reason that they're not looking at purchasing those.
My guess is they had a plan all along that we're going to do X amount and then stop and let the market adjust and see how this works. I bet you're right. And I bet that they did see a dip in the sales on a lot of these brands, but consumers have short memories too.
Oh yeah,
and so
for sure.
in a few years, there's a lot of people who cared that are still going to be buying Ballast Point and all that kind of stuff. And,
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, if you can afford it,
right? Yeah. So
I could definitely I could brew a beer that good for half the price.
I don't know. The Smutty Nose one I wish that one had been reported a little bit more accurately to give consumers more of an appreciation of what you're talking about when you're talking about starting up a business and running it and keeping it successful. How much of it is a constant battle. You can be doing everything right and you can be successful and still struggle or
Yeah,
still
for sure.
fail. You know, there's so much risk all the time. No matter what size you get to, there's always something out there waiting to knock you off.
You're not kidding.
But you got to be banking money as you go, especially if you are successful. You got to save up for a rainy day, just like you do in your personal life, right? I mean,
Oh, is that what we got to do?
yeah, apparently.
Oh,
Let us save.
I don't know anything about that.
Let our
Oh,
save.
so you're set for your retirement, I'm assuming?
No. Far from it.
retirement. I was told by somebody, that's the great thing about the business you're in. You can do that till you're 80, 85 years old. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good thing, huh? Yeah, that's great.
That's because I'm going to have
I
to
might
work till
off
I'm 80.
myself
Right.
now. Forget it. I have to
Always
do this
working.
for the rest of my life.
I don't think I could ever afford to retire, so I'm just going to work.
Well, me
Till I
neither at
can't
the minute.
anymore.
But I mean, I'm just saying, don't do what I'm doing. You know, do what I
Right.
say. You know, it's
Do not as I say, but not as I do.
yeah, something like
What
that.
is something like that?
Say what I do.
Don't not do what I'm not going to say that I
Say.
haven't done. Do what I didn't say that I wasn't.
There you go.
And who's on
to.
first?
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I thought that was kind of an interesting. Wasn't there something else that was going on too? I don't remember. It seems like
There was something I was reading this week that I wanted to talk about, and I can't remember what it was. I bet I can look back. Move on to the next subject there, and I'll.
So anyway, our biggest homebrew competition here in
Right.
Dallas Fort Worth area. Well,
Blue
it's
Bonnet
actually
Brew Off.
it's really actually a nationwide competition now because, I mean, we get entries from all over the United States. So,
Right.
it's not just a local deal, which I would like. I mean, really, it's not. It's the largest single site homebrew competition in the nation, and it's an absolute beating every year. Everybody gets upset and fights, and it's absolute cluster. But somehow or
Club
another,
fights, individual fights.
yeah, somehow or another, it always gets done. It always turns out to be a great deal. It's amazing that you know it gets run every year. I mean, I think what did they cap the entries this year?
1525.
1525, which we've had well over 1,800 in the past, and so there are some larger competitions, but they're not single site. So that means that everything is done here, judged here. You know,
Right.
everything is done here. So it's quite a feat. You get really cool looking hardware when you win. If you win first place, you get a really cool ceramic stein, really great medals and awards. And if you win something in this thing, man, it's something, you know. So it's something to be proud of. And it's a 2-day event, just like the NHC kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, we have
The competition's just as strong, I think, for
Yeah,
all the
I do too.
Yeah, I
local
think
area
so.
people that are. Yeah, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
good brewers in this.
especially these days,
Yeah.
the level of competition
It's gone
is
up quite a
really
bit.
it really is,
gotten
and
tough. Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because it's not just local people; it's people from all over the United States entering the same. Because if you win, you get some cool looking hardware. I think more so than anywhere else. Also, it's just a really good event. They're starting to make it more and more like NHC. We're going to have. I know they're going to have different
Workshops.
workshops and seminars, and they're going to have. We have the guys from. Was it Bell's?
Bell's
coming
yeah,
down.
Bell's
Bells
are-
this year.
yeah.
They're going to be the
Oh,
guests.
man.
They're going to be the.
I have to miss it.
speaker.
I'm going to be working this
Are you
year.
really?
Yeah. I'll be out of town
Wow,
in
that
Kansas City.
On the
Sucks for
Friday
you.
night?
Yeah.
No, you got
So
for the
Friday
whole
night
thing,
is
yeah.
Friday night is the commercial beer
commercial,
tasting.
right?
Right.
And then the next day they have the,
Evaluation clinic.
yeah, and then Saturday they have all of the different clinics and different seminars, and then the award ceremony, and then after that they have the homebrew tasting, which
Yep.
is it's always a good time. So if you have a chance to come out, make sure to look at that. It's bluebonnetbrewoff.org, and it's right here in Irving, Texas.
I went
right
for the
there.
first time last year, and I had an absolute blast. What a great time it was.
There usually aren't that many bad times other than bad decisions.
The only
Oh,
thing
I
I
have a-
think what we're missing the boat on with these competitions is we're focused strictly on positive reinforcement. I think
Yeah.
we need to have negative reinforcement at all. So like the people with the lowest scores on homebrew night, they have to fight or something in a ring
Yeah.
for all of us to enjoy.
To the death,
To the or to the pain, you know.
To the pain.
to the satisfaction of the crowd around them.
Right.
So even if you didn't enter and you're somewhat local, Texas, Oklahoma, I know Arkansas guys come out.
Yeah. East Texas guys.
East Texas, Louisiana,
Hell, New
New
Mexico.
Mexico. I mean, all of these guys come out And we have a club night, so you can actually serve your beers. So I think that's still available if you want to come out and serve some beers and hang out with everybody.
There's usually room.
You are always going to be welcome to come, even walk up and buy tickets and come. So,
Right.
but check that out, bluebonnetbrewoff.org. So that was